So, our speaker for today is no stranger to our community. Victor has been here several times, and we certainly want to give him a welcome. And we are so grateful that he has taken the time to speak with us today. If you haven't had an opportunity to read his bio and a little story about Victor, that came out in the newsletter. So, I would advise you to, if you want to know a little bit more, to refer to the newsletter and read a little bit about Victor. And we're just so glad that he's returned to speak to us today. So without further ado, Victor, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dan. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. I'm getting thumbs up. I also noticed my little name tag on here. Here, let me change that. There we go. That way it's fixed up. Good morning, everyone. Again, I just want to thank you guys for having me back. I so appreciate this community, and some of you, we've been together quite a few times for quite some time. So for those of you that are new, I'm Victor Dougherty, and so I'm currently the director of the Temple Buddhist Center at Unity Temple on the Plaza. And I've had the wonderful opportunity to speak at the Center for Universal Oneness multiple times back before I became the director here. So I wanted to start this morning off with just a little bit of music and just kind of have a little bit of fun. So I know that we shift and transition from one section of our service to another. So if you need to get the wiggles out or move your body around a little bit, whatever you need to do. So today I'm going to be playing on my ukulele. I usually use my guitar, but my lesson today is from an indigenous teaching. And so I thought, well, I'll use an indigenous instrument for today. So the ukulele, can you guys hear that okay? Is it coming through? Let me make sure. There, how's that? Okay, good. I'm getting a thumbs up. Folks can hear that all right. So this is a little chant, and it's very easy. You don't need a songbook or lyrics or any fancy equipment. It just goes like this. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like to live in the joy of love. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like living in love. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like to live in the joy of love. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like living in love. That's it. Join me, won't you? Here we go. Well, I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like to live in the joy of love. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like living in love. Here we go again now. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like to live in the joy of love. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like living in love. Well, I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like to live in the joy of love. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like living in love. People are dancing now. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like to live in the joy of love. I like to live in the joy of spirit. I like living in love, yeah. I like living in love. I like living in love. Thank you guys. That was a breath of fresh air. I think I needed that as much as you guys did. Oh, yes, I like living in love. And so my talk today is on, and it might be new. Some folks might not have heard this before, but this comes from an indigenous tradition. And I just want to take a moment to really honor and just reflect on the importance of our indigenous peoples near, far, here in America, South America, Asia, Africa, the poles, North Pole, South Pole, all across the world, the indigenous peoples and the amazing teachings, the amazing lessons that we are just now starting to realize the deeper truth of some of those teachings. And so my intention today is to simply share this practice with you. I know that some people, are worried about things like cultural appropriation, stuff like that. And what's going on here is simply an education, showing how the practice of Ho'oponopono can really enrich our lives, can deeper our understanding of the depth of the indigenous practices. Okay, so with that being said, then, and Dan, be sure and give me a 5-minute warning, because as many of you know, anytime you give a pastor or a minister a microphone, then the lines between a sermon and a hostage situation become very blurred. So I could go on forever, so just kind of help keep me on time. So, for the folks who struggle with the concept of forgiveness, both for themselves and for others, they can often find comfort in a deeply healing, age-old ancient practice that comes from Hawaii and from the indigenous people of the islands. And this beautiful Hawaiian prayer for forgiveness is called Ho'oponopono. And it is really a lovely and a deep practice. And so I want to introduce you all to today, and also talk about some of the deeper meanings and things that are going on here. So this ancient Hawaiian practice of forgiveness functions as both a communication concept, as for reconciliation, and also as a tool for restoring self-love, balance, and harmony in one's life. So the practice works like sort of a mantra for self-love, and even more surprisingly, it's super simple. The word Ho'oponopono roughly translates as to cause things to move back into balance, or to make things right. This is the rough translation of the term or the word Ho'oponopono, to make things right. And it shares a lot of concepts and ideas with Zen and Buddhism, Christianity, Taoism, Islam, Judaism. There's a lot of parallels in this ancient traditional practice. And so in the Hawaiian language, pono means balance in the sense of life, When things are in balance, nothing is off, so to speak. Accordingly, chanting this prayer over and over is a powerful way to cleanse the body of guilt, shame, haunting memories, ill will, bad feelings that keep the mind fixated on negative thoughts. In the past, you've heard me talk about what current psychological practices call negativity bias. That is that tendency for the human mind to go towards the worst case scenarios, to go towards negativity. So even the indigenous peoples thousands of years ago knew about negativity bias. And so they offered to their children and to their loved ones and their peers and their elders this incredible practice that is very simple to do and to incorporate as a way to balance or offset this negativity bias. So as a forgiveness practice, it is deeply resonant and it tends to penetrate our inner monologue over time. In other words, it actually can biologically change the brain by changing how certain synapses wire together, how they function. Obviously, we see this in the unity practice and in our practice as a way that we work with, I'm sorry, excuse me just for a moment. This is not it. It's up there someplace. Rob had it sitting on a chair. So sorry. So as a way to practice and actually change synapses. So in our unity practice, change your thought, change your world. So here is Ho'oponopono. So now if you do not have me on speaker view or the large screen, or if Dan has not yet, I'm going to ask him to place me on a spotlight because I'm going to share a slide with you. And so if it's still on gallery mode, I'll just be a little tiny postage stamp. But if you've got me on speaker view, or if Dan can or Sydney can spotlight me, then I should be large on your computer and you can see the screen. So it's very simple. And here is the practice, the mantra of Ho'oponopono, okay? I apologize. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. Now, I realize that this seems oversimplistic, but there's a much deeper, more metaphysical thing that's going on here. So, for example, I apologize. Well, when the ego mind gets involved, I didn't do anything. Why am I apologizing? You know, he's the one who left the toothpaste lid off, or she's the one that put the dishes in the sink, you know, all these little blames, all these little things like this. But what the I apologize is really pointing at is that, to use a Buddhist term, karmically or deep down, for any aspect of this that I had a part in, for perhaps even if it was my tone of voice. You left the toothpaste lid off again. How many times do I have, maybe it was the tone of voice. Maybe it was some way that I didn't understand what you were going through. This is what I'm apologizing for. And it's not even a subject object. The apology is even larger than that. It's an apology that this difficulty between us even happened. So it's not even about anything that I did or you did. It's not focused on somebody else or what I did. It's just an apology that this difficulty between us even came about. And so I apologize on a much larger global level for anything that I may have done or said, knowing or unknowing, or even that the event happened at all. Next, forgive me. So this is a really beautiful concept. And again, our minds tend to go instantly to, I want you to forgive me. It's much larger than that. Not only is it a wish that you forgive me, but it's also, I forgive me for any moment of unconsciousness, for any moment that I was asleep and held an anger, I held a hatred, I held a blame, or even held a misunderstanding. I thought something happened a certain way when it didn't. So the forgiveness is forgive any misunderstanding, forgive, it's a request for you to forgive me, but also that I forgive me for jumping to conclusions. I forgive me for a moment of anger or hatred. And it's even a metaphysical forgive me. In fact, you can tie this directly to the Bible. When Jesus said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do," he wasn't talking about the Roman soldiers. He's talking about mankind. It's a much larger forgive me. Number 3, I thank you. This is gratitude. In the Buddhist practice, the antidote to anxiety is gratitude. Gratitude for the teachings that we receive, formally or informally. Gratitude for this moment. Eckhart Tolle talks about, what if you treated every moment as if this is the moment you asked for? This is the one you wanted. What a mind-blowing way to encounter each moment. Yes, this is the moment that I want. This gratitude, the Buddha said in his teachings that we have cause for nothing but joy and gratitude in this life. Now, I know what everybody's thinking because that's what I thought. Well, what about the difficulties? What about the challenges? What about the crackpot who's cutting me off on the highway? Am I thankful for him? And the answer is yes. Why? Because we don't know we have a button until somebody pushes it. And when they push it, we spend our time, all of our energy and focus blaming, judging, anger, separation, hatred, instead of stopping and going, wow, I had a button there. I didn't know I had that. What is that? That button could be around control, needing to control our environment. That button could be a righteous indignation. You're so stupid, you don't even know to wear a mask. What's the matter with you? There's an anger in there. There's a hatred in there. That same hatred is the hatred that the people we think are separate and different from us have for us, because they think that we're being duped by the government and they hate the government. Whatever discussion, Republican, Democrat, gay, straight, black, white, conservative, liberal. It doesn't matter what separation you create. There's hatred and there's anger and there is righteous indignation because I'm right, you're wrong. My God knows what they're talking about. Yours doesn't. The list is endless. So instead, when we can find gratitude in our heart for someone who pushes our buttons, thank you for helping me see that there was an anger or a hatred there. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't then take action. So if I am moved to action to maybe write to a congressman or vote or maybe, send money to a cause that I feel is important, I do that. I'm not saying we're not doormats, but when our buttons get pushed, that's an opportunity for awakening. That's an opportunity to peel away the fear, the greed, the anger, and the hatred that makes everything separate. And that is the power of not only gratitude, but ho'oponopono, or even just the act of saying, I thank you. Thank you for helping me see what I could not before see. And then, of course, finally, the last part of ho'oponopono is the acknowledgement of love, both for yourself and for others. See, there's this great saying that comes from the Vedic or the Hindu tradition, which many of you are familiar with, which is called Namaste. And Namaste means that the light in me sees the light in you, regardless of whether or not my ego mind understands your ego mind. Eckhart Tolle has this great thing where he says, my basic perception of me is trying to understand my perception of you, while your perception of you is trying to understand your perception of me. There's four people trying to navigate any interaction with another human being. It's a wonder we communicate at all. But there's a whole nother level that our spiritual practice opens the doors to, and that is the heart understanding. I can see your light even if you cannot see your light. How do I see your light? By first seeing my own. This is a very deep and powerful practice. And this is what unity teaches. This is what Jesus taught. And in the Buddhist practice, the teaching is wisdom and awareness. But that's where it goes, is to love and a depthful understanding that we are all one. The consciousness that's coming from you is the same consciousness that's coming from me. Your consciousness might be aware of a different set of surroundings and objects and things, and my consciousness is aware of a different set of surroundings and things. And both have had different experiences, but the consciousness itself is pure, knows no past, no future, only this moment. And consciousness is free of guilt, of shame, wants, needs, desires. Who we really are doesn't want or need anything. It's the body that wants everything, and the ego that is never happy with anything it gets. So when we move to this deeper heart practice, we release ourselves of all the past, the present, the future, of any concept of right doing, wrong doing, good, evil. All of those are released, and that's where truth is found. That is true forgiveness. Ho'oponopono can be this powerful meditation and this little mantra that we can incorporate anytime that we are feeling separate. It's like Mother Teresa says, when you're feeling bad, when any person is feeling bad, they have forgotten that they are not alone. They have forgotten that they are not separate. They have forgotten who they are. And so this wonderful practice can help bring us back home. I apologize. Please forgive me. I thank you. And I love you. This can be a mantra that can be spoken over and over and over again in a meditation. You can write it. You can even sing it. Did you see the segue there? So let's do this little mantra. And so I'll teach you how it goes here. Can you hear the ukulele? Okay, good. Oh, yeah, I'll leave this up just for a moment. I apologize, Ho'oponopono. Forgive me, Ho'oponopono. I thank you, Ho'oponopono, and I love you. Join me. So I apologize, Ho'oponopono. Forgive me, Ho'oponopono. I thank you, Ho'oponopono. And I love you. Again. So I apologize, Ho'oponopono. Forgive me, Ho'oponopono. I thank you, Ho'oponopono. And I love you. So I apologize, Ho'oponopono. Forgive me, Ho'oponopono. I thank you, Ho'oponopono. And I love you. So can you imagine any couple that maybe gets into an argument and they've just, gone to their separate corners? What if they just decided to stop for a moment and sing with each other for a few minutes? This little mantra of Ho'oponopono. In the same way, what if we could gather all the Republicans on one side and all the Democrats on the other, and we began singing. And as we sang, we just kind of started merging and joined until there was just one group. Can you feel that in your heart? All the nations of the world just started singing together. Suddenly all the concepts of good, bad, right, wrong, left, right, red, blue, they all go away. So let's do that. Open your hearts. Let's take hands with each other energetically as we surround the globe. And we just sing Ho'opono for all beings in all places. Here we go. So I apologize, Ho'oponopono. Forgive me, Ho'oponopono. I thank you, Ho'oponopono. And I love you. So I apologize, Ho'oponopono. Forgive me, Ho'oponopono. I thank you, Ho'oponopono. And I love you. One more time. So I apologize, Ho'oponopono. Forgive me, Ho'oponopono. I thank you, Ho'oponopono. And I love you. Yes, I love you. Yes, I love you and 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 you. Okay, we can go back to gallery mode or take me off the spotlight. And so just take a moment to see our community, to see our gallery of souls and beings, and just let our hearts open and fill with gratitude for this opportunity to be together with each other and to experience this age-old ancient practice of Ho'oponopono. If you are interested in finding out more about this practice, there are all kinds of YouTube tutorials and videos from Hawaiian elders who talk about this practice, and you can incorporate that and share it with loved ones and grandkids and community members. And so again, I want to thank everybody so much from the bottom of my heart for allowing me this opportunity to come together and talk with you guys about this. And so again, thank you, and peace and blessings, and Ho'oponopono.